Hello everyone, welcome to SAP Technomaniac. In this video, we will discuss about the CDS access control. Till now, we have discussed about different kind of CDS view like CDS entities, DDIC based CDS views and CDS table functions. What these all things will do? It will return us the data from the different tables based on the different conditions. Whoever access the data through the CDS views will get the data. But in real time, in the SAP, we don't want to give the access all the data of the which is all the data which is returned by the CDS. We don't want to give that data access to all the users. What we want, the particular kind of the data should be accessed from the particular kind of user. For example, we have the country specific data. I'm just giving normal example. We for the India specific users should not access the data US specific data. So what we will do, we will put the restriction whenever this particular India specific user access the data from the database, he should get the India specific data only, not the US specific data. So these kind of restrictions we can put using this access control called CDS data control language. So this CDS data control language again return in the data control language source code base editor. Like we are writing the CDS views in the data definition language, DDLS data definition language source code editor. We have the different kind of editor, data control language source code editor. There we will write this kind of control. So how we will write? We will write using the define role. We will write the define role to restrict the data further on particular CDS entity. What it will do, it will restrict the data, whatever the restriction we did in the CDS view, further it will restrict based on this particular criteria what we will define in the defined role. In the defined role, a CDS role is not assigned to individual users and it is evaluated for the average user. What it is telling, whoever access the particular CDS view, whoever access, it is not like that this particularly role whatever we are defining using the data control language, it will be evaluated for only for the few of the users, and for other user it will be not evaluated. Whoever access this particular CDS entity which we have used in particular defined role, whoever access that entity for all the users, this particular DCL will be evaluated if the CDS view linked to particular DCL. Now we will go to the further down for this particular defined role. Inside the defined role, what we will do, we will define the access rules. There are the different kind of access rule. We will discuss all the access rule in my upcoming video. But this access rule, basically what it will do, it can define the access conditions, or it can give all the entire data access to the particular user. If they are defining some condition, they have to define some condition, or if they want to give entire data access, just grant select on this particular CDS entity, like that we will write, then it will give the entire data access to the particular user. And we can define some access rule as well. Access rules as well. Inside the access rule, we will define some access conditions as well. So there are different kind of access conditions further. So these access conditions are based on, we can pass any literal value. Suppose in the above example, you can see I have passed the 1000 sales order, 1000 sales org is a condition. So one of the access condition I have passed. So whoever user, whenever he accessing the data, whoever the user is accessing data, they will able to get only the 1000 sales org data only, not other sales org data. Only this particular CDS, whoever will access, it's not user dependent. Whoever will access, he will get the data only from the 1000 sales org, not from the other sales org. So this kind of restriction we can put using this is called literal. So literal values we can put. So what defined role, we will use grant. This is basic select on. We will define here CDS entity and we will put the where conditions. Not only this, we can put the restriction based on the users as well using the classical authorization object. So this is one of the classical authorization object is there, VBAK8. This is one of the standard consumption views, I have took the screenshot from the one of the standard consumption view. You can see that particular control. When you can do Control Shift and you can search for this particular role which is defined for this particular consumption CDS view, and they are defining the data based on sales order type, which is defined in this particular authorization object. We will talk about authorization object also in upcoming videos, where I will create one authorization object and show you how the data is impacting when we use particular authorization objects. Before going further, let's revise our older concept. So whenever we access the CDS view through ABAP SQL or through any Fiori application or through OData, this access condition, whatever we define using the defined role, it will be evaluated. But when it will be evaluated, there is one of the important annotation which we have already discussed in my previous videos when we discuss about the CDS views and DDIC based CDS view. Let's revise that particular annotation: access control authorization check. If we give access control authorization check equal to check, by default the value is a check only if we don't define this particular annotation in our CDS view. Different kind of CDS view. Whenever I talk about the CDS view, means CDS view entities and the CDS table function as well. I'm not talking, there is another kind of CDS view also, abstract CDS views. I'm not talking about the abstract CDS entities. For those, this is not applicable. We will talk about these things, abstract CDS entity, in some other video. So whenever we define this one, what will be the impact of these three values? Check means whenever you give this value, this annotation value is a check. Whenever you call this particular CDS view, then whatever you have defined the DCL for this particular CDS view, that will be evaluated each time. And this is the default value as well. And second thing, if you didn't created the DCL for particular CDS view, that time you will get the warning, and you have given this authorization check equal to check, and you don't have any DCL for that particular CDS view, that time you will get some warning, this DCL is not exist. To avoid that warning, you can give not required, that value to not required, then that time you will not get that warning. But as soon as you create the DCL in future, that time whenever somebody accesses this particular CDS view entity, that time also the particular DCL code, that role, whichever role you have defined, that will be evaluated, even though you have given the value not required. Just this not required is useful when we don't have the DCL at this moment, but in future we can create the DCL for that time, and that should be evaluated. That time we have to give the not required. And if you have the DCL and you don't want to evaluate the DCL whenever you access the CDS entity, then you have to give the value as a not allowed. We will see all these things in the practical as well. I'm just giving the theory part first. If access control is enabled, only that data is read that meets the access conditions. Means whatever we have defined in the access role, we have the access rule. Inside the access rule, we have the access conditions. Different conditions can be there. All the conditions will be met, satisfies, then only the user will be able to access the data. Otherwise, he will not able to access the data. Next thing, how you can disable the access control. You have created the DCL, but I don't want to put, whenever I access the data from the CDS entity, or CDS view or any CDS view, I don't want to put this DCL access time. First thing, you have to put that annotation value is not allowed. Then it will give the access to the every user. Second thing, whenever you are accessing that particular CDS entity in our normal select statement, then you can write in the form clause, you can write with privilege access. That time, whenever we access that particular CDS entity, that time using the SQL, even though you have the DCL also, and you have the this authorization check is checked, that annotation check is already checked also, that time also that particular DCL will be not evaluated. We will see that also in the video. The third thing, by creating the full access rule. You have created the rule, but you have granted the access full. That time also this particular access control is no use at all. It will not work, means that even it will be evaluated, but there is, you have given the all the user all the access, then no use. And last thing, if one CDS entity used in another CDS entity, suppose CDS entity 2 is used inside the CDS entity 1, but CDS entity 2 have some restriction, that will, when we access the CDS entity 1, that time those restriction will be not applied, because all the DCL work on the only on which only for which CDS view it is created, not on that sub CDS views or whatever. For suppose example, I have created one CDS view, I have given this some control on that CDS view, and I have used this CDS view in another CDS view, and I am accessing that another CDS view, but that time those controlled whatever you put on the below CDS view, that will be not applied. That is a very important thing. Then some of the important point I just want to tell, when access control will not apply when a CDS entity is used as a data source in the another CDS entity, that I already explained. And the one more important thing, when CDS entities are accessed using ABAP SQL, ABAP program cannot distinguish. This is very important thing. So whenever you are getting the data from the select statement, suppose you don't have the access to that using the CDS entity, and you have the DCL for that particular CDS entity, and you don't have access to that particular data, then you will not get data. You will, that SAP will get failed, but you will not get to know that this SAP is failed due to there is no data in the database, or you don't have access to that data to the database. You will be not able to distinguish between them. You will not get the data. That's it. That is one another important thing. So what we will do, we will jump into the system. To understand the access control, we will create one access control for one of our existing CDS view, which we have created in one of my previous video. We will take our first DDIC based CDS view, which we have created in my first video. Let's open it up. So as you know, this is the CDS view we have created. Now what we want to do, we want to create the access control for this particular CDS view. So before going that, I just want to give some points on the access control authority check annotation. So as I explained, if we don't have DCL and that time we are using access control authority check equal to check, then we will get one warning. But if we use not required, then we will not get the warning. To see that, let me change it, this particular not required to check. So as soon as we enter this particular, instead of not required to check, let me activate this one, Control F3. So you can see the no access control for this particular entry. We got this warning. To remove this warning, what we can do, instead of using check, we will put not required. So in this case, in future, if we create any access control for this particular CDS view, that time then access control will be checked against this, evaluated against this particular DDIC based CDS view. Let me activate again, Control F3. Now you can see after activation we didn't get any warning, even though we don't have the access control for this one. We are just telling not required. But if it is if we have this particular for this DDIC based the access control, that time that will be evaluated. That also I will show you. For that, what we have to do, we have to create the access control. For creating the access control, what we will do, just right click on your view and you have to create new access control. And you have to give some value as per your naming convention. I can give some DCL sample 01, and I can write access control for sample 01, something you can give some name you can give, and you can click on next button, and you have to give some TR name, and you have to click on next button, and here it will ask for your template. You can use either some basic template. I will explain all the things when we discuss different kind of rules and different kind of access rules and access conditions. That time I will accept. As of now, I want simple condition using the defined role. That is fine. If you don't select also, it will come automatically. Don't worry. and you have to click on finish button, then the one template is already ready for the creating the DCL. Let me minimize this one. So you can see in this template we are getting the data. We are having the some annotations. First annotation is the end user text label. It is giving just the description of this particular particular access control. What is the description of that? And this again we want to display this description in different languages. That also we can do using the how we change the language in the smart forms and other SAMT code we can use and we can do. And the second thing, the mapping role is equal to true. So this annotation basically what it is telling, this particular access control will be evaluated for the each and every user. We can't make this value to false, it is not allowed. But I don't know why SAP given, but if you try to make false, what will happen, I am not sure. Let me see. So what it is telling, there is some error. The DLS without annotation true are not supported. That error we are getting. So we have to mandatorily value we have to give true. And what is mean of this value? This particular DCL is evaluated for each and every user. So false we can't give. That is again one thing. Control space we have to give true. Then why SAP given by default value is true? I'm not sure about that, but we have to give this value true. And we have to write the defined role. This is the syntax. We have to give the access control name. We have to grant the access control, select on this particular CDS view. This is the CDS entity name. You can see from here, this is the CDS entity name, where we can pass some condition over here. So I want to pass some condition. As I told you, I will as we discussed, I will pass some condition on VKRG. You can pass any condition based on your requirement. As of now, I will use in this video literal. In my next video, will explain about the classical authority check, how we can include in this particular CDS. So what I will do, I will pass the condition on VKRG. So for that, I want to see what all are the values are available in VBAK table for the VKRG. So what I can say, what it is saying, it is telling invalid entity. We will see later. Before that, what we will do, F8, deselect all, select VBLN, ER date, ER VKRG, and VK group we can select to no VKRG. Okay, yeah, VK group. Yeah, open data preview. You can see I want to see entire records, not the only 100 records. If I want to put the filter on the, I don't know why I'm not able to put filter on the VKRG value, but you can see the VKRG having the 710 value and NA01 also there, and something called VVSO also there. Okay, quick filter on the ER name. No, I don't want to put quick filter on ER name. I want to filter on VKRG. I don't know why I'm not able to put. There is some issue with the editor. So what I will do, instead of doing this, let me do F8 data preview. I will preview the entire data and I will go to the VKRG and try to filter out further. Or I can put from here 8 filter. VKRG is there. Yeah. So what all are the distinct values are there? You can see. Let me put filter on VVSO. Okay. You can see we got only 3 values we got for the particular VVSO VKRG. Let me use VVSO. I want to put the restriction on this. Whenever someone execute this particular DDIC based CDS view, then he should get the data only from this one. Okay, what I have to do, I have to use this CDS entity, I think so. Control V, and I have to remove this particular another condition. I don't want to put any other condition. I just want to put one condition. So you can see Control F3. So I have created now VVSO. Before activating, okay, that's fine. And now you can see the authority check is not required. If I try to get the data from this particular CDS view, now I will get only this particular access control will be applied, and I will get the data only for this VBS only. I will not get the data for the other sales org. And you can see authority check is still not required, but still this particular DCL will be, or access control will be evaluated for this particular CDS view. Let me do F8 for this particular CDS view. You can see we got only 3 data, only VBSO sales org we got. If I want to get some other sales org data, I can change here, and for that sales org data only I will get. And basically what it is doing, whenever we are fetching the data from the database, it is additionally applying this particular condition apart from the existing conditions. One more thing, as you can see, still it is not required, still the access control is evaluated. If I don't want to check the DCL against particular CDS view, what I can do, I can put not allowed instead of not required, and let me activate this one, Control F3, and this time if I try to refresh the data, I will get the entire data. You can see I got the entire data instead of that particular VBSO. In this time, as soon as I put the not allowed for this particular DCL, then this particular access control was not evaluated for this particular, whenever we are running this particular CDS view. This how these 3 values, not allowed, not required, and check, will work for particular DCL. Another thing, let me call this particular CDS view in one of my report, and how it will behave we will see. So we will take again existing source code only. Why to create new one? If we have to write simple select statement only. And we have some program, ZCDS consumption something is there. Yeah, I will use same program over here. Let me minimize. Let me put here. What I will do, whatever the existing thing is there, I will comment it out. This all we have, when we discussed about the annotation, that time we have explained this all the things. And I will, in this report, what I will do, I will get the data from this particular simple IDA, select all from this particular CDS entity into data, into table @data IT result. If size sub RC is initial, control space, control Z, control space. If size sub RC is initial, we want to just display the data. I would have displayed somewhere. I just use same CL demo class. Control V and Control C and Control V. Shift F1. Let me do Control F3. This is basic select statement. Nothing is there. What I will do now, I will do F9 and I will see what data I am getting. Before that, instead of not allowed, let me put check. Shift F1, Control F3, and currently let me get the data. Control F3, and let me do F9 one more time. To execute this report, I will do F9. You can see it will open in console. Now we got only, let me increase this, three line only I will got for the VKORG. Let me open it up here. So for the VKORG VBSO. If I change the another VKORG, instead of VBSO, I will do 1701. Then I will get the data only for that particular entries. So how, whenever we are accessing the data using the CDS, using the select statement, that also we can, that time also this particular access control is applied and we are getting the data from the based on the access control. But my requirement is that when I'm getting the data from select statement, I don't want to apply this access control. So for that SAP given one option to to bypass this access control, we can use with privilege access. This is the syntax. We have with the privilege access we can give. In this case, the whenever we write this particular in the form clause, this with privilege access, that time our access control will be not evaluated whenever this select statement run. Let me do Control F3 and do the F9 to see the data. Currently we have 3 entries in this one, but if once I will do F9, you can see I got entire data instead of getting the only 3 data. I got entire data here. I got the data from 1710 also, NA01 also, or from other cells also I got the data instead of getting the data only from VVSO. So like that we can bypass the our access control. This is the one of the way. What all are other ways? First way, we can just how to disable the access control. First way, just we can use here not allowed. Then it will not, the access control will be not applied here. And second, we can, whenever we are access in the select statement, at that time we can give the with privilege access. And third option, one we can give here itself. Suppose instead of applying the where condition, I can just put I will not apply any condition at well. I will give the entire grant full access to the particular CDS entity. If I delete this one, this is called we are granting entire access to the particular CDS entity whoever accessing. Without DCL also, and with we will try this also, it will work in the same way. So let me try to do F8 and show you the result. Let me activate this DCL first, access control first, and let me do F8 for this particular CDS view entity. Now we will get entire data instead of getting for the particular particular VVSO. We are getting now entire data. You can see NA01 also we got. We can see how what all are the distinct values on the VQRG. We can see, so you can see these all are the distinct value, and we can see the we have used VVSO initially. Now we have 1710 as well. Okay, apart from this, what else I can do? This is the one way to give, either you can give the entire access, or you can put not allowed, and or you can put with privilege access. Apart from this, if we call this particular CDS view in another CDS view, that time also, if the even through this authority checked is applied for the for that when we execute that another CDS view, that time this particular DCL will be not applied. Let me show you that also. That will be very simple. Let me do Control Z will not. Now again I have to put where condition, where VQRZ equal to VVSO. Okay, let me activate Control F3. Let me create quickly. I would have created some consumption view, but I don't have as of now. Let me create one new CDS view quickly. Let me give some name, Z DDLS LS underscore sample consume CDS. I can give some access control. So this is control explanation. Let me click on next button. Select some TR, click on next button. A view inside view I want to do. Define view with association, view inside view is there. Define view entity. The template is view entity, root view entity to parent association, define view with join association. Okay, let me define simple view and I will write the code, finish it up. So you can see we have created another defined view. What I will do, I will simply call this particular view inside this view, control view. Okay, I have created the DD. I didn't create the CDS view. Or one more thing I just want to explain before going that. If you access instead of CDS entity, if you access this SQL view, that time access control will be not applied, because SQL view don't have entire facility. These all the annotation will be not applied whenever you are directly access the data from the SQL view instead of CDS entity. One error we are getting warning, use the associated entity. If somebody use instead of entity, if somebody use this particular SQL view in the newer version of the DDIC based view, which we call CDS entity, we don't have option to declare SQL view. That is very good thing. But if you are still, we are using the older approach to get the DDIC based view. In that case, if you have used SQL view, this time the access control will be not applied. Let me show you. And currently in the access control, you can see this is the VBSO we have already applied. Let me do F9 for this one. Before doing that, let me clear out the console and do F9 once again. You can see we are getting the data from the all the VKORG instead of getting from the VBSO. So the access control basically not applied. But if I have used this one, this particular CDS entity, Control V, Control F3, let me Control F3, let me clear out the console and let me do once again F9. You can see I got only 3 data. So you have to make sure whenever we are using CDS views, you should not use SQL view name. Instead of you have to use the CDS entity name. This is another important thing. This time also it will be bypassed. This access control will be bypassed. And just call this CDS view. Select from this one. Control space I can do. Insert all element. I just want to get all the data. That's it. Control F3. I don't have any access control on this one. There is some error is there. What is the error? Let me see. Okay, I didn't provided the SQL view name. Let me give some SQL view name. Control V. SQL. Okay. Shift F1. Nowadays, I never create the DDIC based CDS view. I always create the CDS entity. But for explaining purpose, I have created this one. Control F3. In the CDS entity, no need to give this SQL view name. Let me do F8. So now I don't have any access control for this particular newly created CDS view, but we have the access control for this one. Let me do F8 and see what will happen. You can see we got the data for all the cells. So for this, our access control not applied. If I execute this one and I will do F8, then access control is applied. So basically what I want to tell, if you have already DDIC based CDS view on this, you have already the access control is applied, but you are not, you are calling in from some other CDS view, there that DCL will be not applied. For applying this that restriction, you have to create the DCL for this view as well. Then only that particular restriction will be applied. So these are the basic 4 ways we can restrict the access control. Whenever we are accessing the data, the access control will be not applied. These all are the way. So we have to, if we have to apply, we have to make sure this nothing should now, it should be always checked. And if we are calling in another CDS view and we want to apply the restriction, so we have to define the DCL for them separately, and we should not use with privilege access. These all things we have to make sure whenever we are creating the DCL. In this video, we have discussed about the basics of the access control, how we can create the access control, what all are the implications, and we have discussed about the authority check annotations as well. In my next video, we will see the different kind of access rules and the access conditions, what we can use in the defined role. Not only that, we will see that the classical authority object, how it will be used in the CDS view as well, and the normal in how we used to use using the authority check, that also we will see. Before going to that video, please like this video, subscribe this channel, and share these videos with others as well so they can also learn. With that, thank you and happy learning.